Eastman & Sons, makers of the world's best toe fungus ointment for over 30 years, is proud to present tonight's episode of Our Miss Rooks, the story of Barbara Rooks, a gifted young female lawyer, and her faithful secretary and boy Friday, Will Scott, as she fights an endless war against injustice and unrightness in the courtrooms of 1920s Piffle, Iowa. But due to a bias against female lawyers practicing law in 1920s Piffle, Iowa, faithful secretary and boy Friday Will Scott is forced to pose as the lawyer, while Our Miss Rooks, under the guise of his faithful secretary and girl Friday, calls the shots from the sidelines. And now, Our Miss Rooks! As we pick up the action now, Our Miss Rooks is in court preparing to defend her client, Peter De Niro, against a charge of embezzlement. With everything in order, she turns to her faithful secretary and boy Friday, Will Scott, and says,
"Are you ready, Will?"
I think so, Miss Rooks, but I am a bit nervous. I would feel so much better if you were actually defending our client and not me.
That's impossible, Will. This is the 1920s. No one would ever hire a female lawyer in these times. That's why you have to pretend to be the lawyer, and I have to pretend to be your secretary and girl Friday.
But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even a paralegal. I don't know anything about what to say or how to say it.
You just remember what we practiced. It will be all right.
Uh-oh, here comes the prosecuting attorney. I heard he's a tough one.
Really? Hamilton Berger is one of the worst prosecuting attorneys there is. He's lost every case he's ever tried.
Well, that's right. That crack attorney, Perry Mason, beats him every time. But Hamilton Berger isn't trying this case. He came down with a hangnail and had to step down.
Who did they get to replace him?
A fellow named Terry Malcomb. And like I said, he's supposed to be pretty tough.
Terry Malcomb?
What's the matter, Miss Rooks? You look mildly shocked.
Well, this is just quite a coincidence. I was in law school with a Terry Malcomb, but the Terry Malcomb I knew was a woman. A woman couldn't become a prosecuting attorney in this day and age. I wonder if this is her brother.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Malcomb. I'm Will Scott. I'm the private secretary and boy Friday. I'm the defense attorney. And this is Miss Rooks. She's my boss.
You're what?
I'm her boss, and she's my private secretary and girl Friday. Aren't you, Miss Rooks, ma'am?
Miss Rooks, you say? Miss Barbara Rooks?
Yes. Have we met before?
Of course not. Where could we have possibly met? In law school or something?
Law school? Why would you say law school? It's not like I ever went to law school. I'm a woman, and women don't go to law school in the 1920s.
Of course not. That's totally ridiculous.
I've never even heard of such a thing.
But Miss Rooks, I seem to recall you telling me about knowing a woman in law school named Terry Malcomb.
What? What? My name is Terry Malcomb, and I went to law school, but I'm not a woman, I'm a man, because a woman could never be a lawyer.
Not in the 1920s.
No, of course not.
But if a woman did want to become a lawyer, which law school do you think she would choose to go to, Mr. Malcomb?
Oh, well, if I were a woman, which I'm not, and I wanted to go to law school, I would definitely choose Hammond X School of Law.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. I mean, they're so accommodating to law students of both genders, even in a day when female law students aren't something you're likely to see.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
And Professor Radcliffe is such a good teacher.
He makes the law come alive, doesn't he?
He's excellent. If for some reason I had gone to Hammond X Law School, and I did have Professor Radcliffe as an instructor, he would have captivated me with his lectures.
He would be the one responsible for making me simply fall in love with the legal profession. If I was a woman, and I had gone to Hammond X Law School, and had Professor Radcliffe as an instructor.
And what about Professor Armand's Civil Procedures class?
Oh, yes, I remember that class. Do you remember that term paper he gave us to do on the difference between civil procedure rules, as mandated in colonial times, and those of today?
We stayed up all night in the law library doing research.
And we accidentally got locked in when the librarian didn't notice us on the 4th floor.
And how we had to climb down the drain pipe to be able to get to Dr. Filbert's criminal law class on time.
And that dog chased us around the greens. Oh, those were the good days.
Yes. Yes, they would have been if we had been female law students at Hammond X Law School in the 1920s.
Yes, that's right. All hypothetical, of course.
Oh, look, here comes Judge Boydsworth. The trial's about to start.
All rise! The Honorable Judge Chris Boydsworth presiding.
Please be...
Please be seated.
What's the matter, Miss Rooks? You look mildly shocked again.
It's just... I mean, it's just another coincidence. When I was in law school, our counselor was named Chris Boydsworth, whose greatest ambition was to become a judge. But the Chris Boydsworth I knew was a woman. A woman couldn't become a judge in this day and age. I wonder if this is her brother.